Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SirLinksalot podcast, or welcome back if you are new with us. My name is Artemis, and I will be your host for today. Now, today's guest is someone who has been quietly becoming the behind-the-scenes weapon for digital agencies who are looking to scale without burning out. Kieran Browning has spent over 6 years as an operation manager inside of multiple digital businesses and has since coached over 50 agency owners on how to turn their messy, stressful operations into streamlined and scalable businesses through his consultancy. Now, in this episode, we're going to dive into the most common operational mistakes holding SEO agencies back, how to delegate SEO work without dropping the ball, and what it really takes to deliver results effectively without sacrificing your mental health or creeping closer to that burnout state every single day. So, first of all, Kieran, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for taking the time to chat today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Right off the bat, I just want to know more about your history and the work that you do. So, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to know more about how you first got started in the industry and how you got started doing the work that you do now.
Sure. So my first job at a university was working as a CRM consultant or like as a pre-sales CRM consultant. And most of CRM consulting is just process optimization, really. And so that was fascinating to me. Not fascinating to many people, but it's fascinating to me. And then from there, read the 4-hour work week like a lot of people and got a job doing digital marketing, and then moved out to Vietnam, started working there, and then ended up being sort of the de facto operations manager at a digital marketing agency, and got really into the process optimization, the systemization, and sort of loved the game of that, and then just kept doing it more and more and more, and then got my own clients and was helping with them. And yeah, here we are several years later.
That's awesome. So, have you been working remotely the entire time and like normally traveling around and things like that?
I have been working remotely since, mid 2017, the entire time. Yeah.
So before it was cool. Nice.
Yeah.
like pre-COVID-ish. It was obviously still a thing, but a lot of people started remotely around that time. So it's pretty awesome that you've gotten your bearings before that. So I'm curious. I did have some time to take a look at your website, and on your website, you list these 4 main areas that you use to help your clients free up their time and their energy. So between those 4 areas, which is management, communication, the management and work processes, which do you think SEO agencies just have a hard time in particular grasping? What do you think they need the most help with?
Well, probably processes, because if you're good at SEO, you just know how to do it. You don't need to look at a set of instructions. It's just what you do. You're very good at it, which is great until you need to communicate, until you run out of hours in the day. You can't clone yourself, unfortunately. You have to begrudgingly hire someone else who can do the extra work. And how do you communicate to them how to do it properly? Like, they're not going to know, and they'll lie to you about how much they know as well. And processes is just the easiest, best way to solve it. But if you're good at SEO, that has nothing to do with operations, unfortunately. Like, it's a brand new skill. It seems confusing. It seems very boring. I mean, it is boring to most people. I love it. But yeah, that's probably the biggest leverage point, I would say. Just like process out your business, and then that makes the delegation so much easier, makes management so much easier, makes client retention much easier. Like, it's the thing that makes everything else so much easier.
Gotcha. So pretty much just hiring people to fill that space where they tend to lack in the agency operations. I know that a lot of SEOs in particular are really into either the creative part or the technical part, but having to juggle everything else understandably can get to be a lot.
Yeah. It's so many different jobs, so many different hats, so many different skill sets. Like, it's a very, very hard ask. Be like, get good at all of these things right now on your first attempt, on your first or second or third business. Like, it's nuts.
So where do you think that these agencies tend to kind of waste the most time and resources? Is that also in just trying to figure out the operations and dropping the ball, or is it somewhere else that you've noticed?
Yeah, I mean, probably the most amount of time gets wasted just back and forth and forth and back and back and forth and forth and back. So the client will issue some requests, which hopefully is not a painfully stupid request. Hopefully the client's educated enough to ask you to do something that you should do, but maybe not. They issue that on Monday, and then someone looks at that on Tuesday. I don't know how, and then maybe they issue that to the rest of the team on Wednesday. Wednesday, someone looks at that. It's like, what is required? That's not a clear. I don't know. I'm just going to work on other sort of stuff. I'll look at this again on Thursday. And then on Thursday, they're like, I probably need these 3 things clarified before I can start. But I don't want to look stupid in front of my boss. And so they wait until Friday, they send it. Now there's a full week delay. Nothing even happened. And that happens all the time.
Right.
And
I think that we've all definitely
solve...
seen that.
Yeah, and it's just a problem you don't have when it's just you. But you add staff into the mix and clients into the mix. Yeah, it gets annoying really fast.
As someone who has worked for agencies in the past, I've definitely seen that kind of those process holes that people fall into. So I can definitely co-sign that one myself. But one of the most important parts of running agencies in general that have all of these moving parts to it is finding the right people who can fill those holes and those gaps. So I want to know if you have any insights on how these SEO agency owners can actually tackle building that right team and avoid making the mistake, which can be really expensive, of hiring poorly.
Yeah, so I think we have a recent way to do that that's a lot easier. Just like use start a new thread with ChatGPT or your favorite LLM and call it your HR coach and get it to guide you through the process, first documenting a recruitment process, which ChatGPT can do a pretty good job of, and be like, well, here are the problems I've had with my staff in the past. They don't get this. They don't get that. I wish they were more like this. I wish they were more like that. All right, great. If you know what you don't like, that gets you way closer to what you will like. And then you can walk through, well, how do I appeal to the sort of staff member that would really thrive here? One, what would they even do? And two, what would be the skills this person would need, the skills and the traits these people would need to have? And then 3, why would they want to work for me? Right? That's the big thing that recruiters all know this, but that's the big thing that people miss out. Why would this person want to work for you? Are you paying more? Probably not. Are you a better manager? Probably not. Like, what makes you so special? And you can answer that question. You can implement a whole bunch of things that would be very interesting and very relevant to your staff. When I hire, it's 100% remote. I don't care how many hours you work. I will never track your time. We have KPIs. You get to meet with the boss one-on-one, 30 minutes every week. Ask any question. I'm an open book. Like, it's all here. This is a great development opportunity. There isn't any of this political nonsense that's going on. For a certain sort of staff member, that's a very appealing opportunity. So you can have long conversations with ChatGPT to figure this out. You can solve this. The problems that you're having, everyone has had difficulty. The people who sign up to your job ads don't know what the hell they're doing. In these interviews, they lie. They don't show up. They're flaky. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't take any responsibility. These are all very common problems that have been solved, and you're very close to a solution if you do a little bit of exploration and take a small amount of responsibility for all right, what can I do on my end to fix this? Because blaming my staff is easy, but it doesn't lead to the outcome that I want.
Right. I'm curious to know what value adds that you've seen kind of attract the kind of people that an SEO agency would normally want to gravitate towards, because I think that there's a very specific type of personality that does well in that kind of setting. Do you notice that they gravitate towards any kind of value propositions specifically?
Yeah, what a developer wants is completely different to what a designer wants, is completely different to what a copywriter wants, is completely different to what a salesperson would want, right? So really, you can specify based upon that. Ask ChatGPT what objections this person would have. But the big ones are is this a 100% remote position? Because that's a huge plus. And do you require them to work 9 to 5 in your time zone? Or do you not really care? Provided they can get on 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 calls a week that are at a time that's convenient for you, do you give a shit what hours they work really? Because if you don't, that's a huge thing as well. Do you care if they use AI for the whole thing? Okay, well, that's another big one. Can they talk to you? That would be a big one. Can they use a VA for their own work if they want to? That's a big one. It's all these sort of things that maybe you're actually doing right now, but that's not in your job ad, right? Everything that's great about your company, everything's great about you as a manager, and everything's great about the culture that you're building, is that in the job ad? Or do they find that out 2 months in? And if they had known that from the jump, you would have gotten way more people signing up. And, the other one is be very comfortable with alienating people who are not going to be a good fit. Like the people who would thrive at my company are very specific people, and everyone else is just like, this doesn't seem like it's for me, you know?
Right. I feel like everybody has kind of struggled a little bit with finding people who, are not a good fit and have kind of traumatized them a little bit to the entire experience. And I know that it makes it more difficult to do things like delegate tasks to people when you've had a bad experience and you delegate a task to someone who just doesn't get it right the first time. And I have this personal logical fallacy or delusion, if you will, that if I delegate out a task, then it's just not going to get done right. It's a wash. So I want to know the advice that you have for how you would suggest that agency owners who are like me and have that difficulty delegating out tasks, how would we tackle that issue when we're trying to offload tasks and scale up our free time?
Yeah, first of all, not a delusion, not a delusion at all, right? You can eventually fix it, but like, oh, they won't do as good a job as me. They won't for a while, right? They won't until they will. But, that's not a delusion at all. That will definitely be the case. And then for people who have this issue, everyone has this issue until they don't, right? I was terrible at managing stuff. Terrible until I figured it out and, then changed a bunch of things. But, like it is what it is. You're not expected to have this skill. All right. So how do you do it? I mean, the easiest way to win a game is by turning the difficulty down to easy. So if you're delegating stuff to staff, the easiest way to get them to actually be able to do it good enough, like 80% as good as you is usually good enough, right? If you want to get it to be 100%, like that'll take more time, more training, more effort, more management, more performance reviews, that sort of thing. But to get it to 80%, document, next time you do the task yourself anyway, screen record yourself doing it using Loom and just speak out loud what it is you're doing. If it took you 20 minutes to do the task before, it should take you 20 minutes and 10 seconds recording yourself. Take the transcript from that Loom recording, copy paste that to ChatGPT, say, make this into an SOP. Take that SOP, put that into a document, and along with the link, and say to this person, here's what I want you to do. Right?
Gotcha.
Then the margin for error is like, it becomes, you have to go out of your way to mess that up at that point. Right, you've made it way easier for them to succeed. Because stuff that is painfully obvious to you won't be painfully obvious to them. And they make these weird mistakes. You're like, I don't understand. Now you will understand it. They're following the process. You can see what happens from there, and you can adjust the process as you go. But that's a very, very quick and reliable solution that we just didn't have access to like a while ago. Because now the transcripts from Loom recordings are so good.
Oh yeah, they're amazing. And we're actually huge fans of Loom here at SirLinks, and also just using general video recordings to show processes and things like that. I think that is probably the biggest way that we make sure that everybody's on the same page when it comes to the actual methodology of doing things. So to know that we're on the right track is awesome. Now you've mentioned actually a couple of tools. I know you mentioned using ChatGPT for doing things from finding the right staff to helping out, figure out the holes in your process and things like that. I want to know, since I love asking professionals nowadays how they use AI in their work, do you suggest any AI solutions to your clients in your own work?
Constantly. The big ones are, do not assign anything to anyone yourself ever again. Always just voice note the vague, nonsensical, rambling concept of what you vaguely want this person to do in a voice note, and get it to make a better task description than you or I could write anyway immediately, right? Stop manually typing out assignments to people. The improvements that you will see from that alone are incredible, and it takes no time and it takes less time and less effort than doing that anyway. So that's the big one. SOPs. ChatGPT can make a good first draft, a decent first draft of almost everything immediately, right? So starting from blank page and trying to figure it out, you don't have to do that anymore. The same thing, replying to emails, that sort of thing. And then probably something that used to be amazingly difficult, this was the hardest thing that I would coach clients through doing, is getting extremely good at planning out some big multi-phase, several week-long, many subtasks, a bunch of people involved, hairy, audacious, procrastination-driven project plan that you should have implemented 9 months ago and didn't. And you can do that with ChatGPT now I mean, it's not easy, but it's much easier than it was before, right? Here is, like, the prompt is, help me, guide me through the process of making a GTD style project plan for X thing. And then it'll ask you questions and just voice note, I kind of want this, and this is sort of my objectives, and this is the purpose, and this is the principles, and this is the outcome, and this is the approach, and this is the who and the what and the where and the why and the how. And get ChatGPT to generate the first draft of that, and then use voice note to adjust that and issue thoughts and get it to regenerate. And then the clarity that you get, like something that might have taken you 40 hours to implement will now take 10 hours because you came up with a much better strategy with a much more specific, tighter, intelligent sequence of next actions. Like that's huge. And thank God, because teaching people how to really, really make excellent plans is very, very hard. And now it's not.
That's awesome. I like how you actually have a good process for automating the things that people actually don't want to do, like the tedious things that you can just take and then run with it. So I think that's the best usage of AI for sure. I kind of want to move a little bit on to the client side of the whole business operations. So I suspect that many SEO business owners who are trying to retain those clients find it to be a little bit of a struggle to manage those client expectations, especially when SEO is a service that doesn't have a huge amount of like instant gratification. I want to know what recommendations that you have, Kieran, for agency owners to set and manage those client expectations around the SEO results. And they're often hard to predict long term, so it can get a little bit hairy. But if you have any advice, I know that our listeners would love to hear it.
Yeah. So I would say account management is more important than getting good results even for them. Like it makes all of the difference. And being good at SEO tells you nothing about account management. Like it's its own thing and worth really exploring. That said, onboarding is about the last chance you're going to get to make sure that their expectations are what they should be. So if you've lost clients in the past because their expectations weren't what they should be, get ChatGPT to help you write that into an onboarding process. You know, what my last chance, the FAQ that you're going to read onboarding. After this, if I tell them that, actually the results are going to take 6 months and they thought it was going to take 4 months, you'll lose them as a client. But if they came into the bar and be like, look, it's going to take phase 1, we're going to do this, phase 2, we're going to do that, phase 3, we're going to do it. We'll try and get you a win here or there, but if you're expecting results in this time period, don't. And also, this is how many revisions you get, and this is how much things you do. Right, so do that. Right. And then the best strategy I've heard, and I got this from a guy who did SEO in China, was update them like every week or every 2 weeks with something that you got done. Right, we got a long tail keyword from ranked 157 down to 23. Right, you had this competitor for this keyword. They used to be this big compared to you, and now they're this big, and you have beaten this competitor for that. Right, in China, it's very much, I don't even want to make money. I just want to destroy my competitors. So something like that.
Yeah, that's definitely a regional thing I've noticed.
Yeah, but just whatever little wins you could get, anything you can mention, pass along to them. Like it doesn't have to be a formal spreadsheet or something like that, but they have no idea what you're doing. Even if they tell you that they understand SEO, they're probably lying. And anything you can do to be like, we worked on this, we're going to work on that, we did this, we're happy with this, something like that gives them some sense that, okay, I'm paying someone for something and they're doing it, right? Which is a lot of what makes clients dip off is like, are they even doing it? Like, I don't know. I don't see it. I don't hear it. Why am I paying this?
Right. So pretty much solid account management with under-promising and over-delivering, right?
Yes. Yeah, gotcha. You can churn and burn if you want, and many people in SEO do. But just the keep it like expectation management is business ethics. Like if you're under promising, it's so much easier.
Gotcha. And I assume that the churn and burn is not something that most people be interested in. It's just unsustainable and stressful for no discernible reasons. So, yeah. So I want to know from you, with all of that comprehensive advice that you've given, it's really geared towards people who started off without really knowing that they wanted, to scale, and therefore they weren't prepared to do so. And so then you come flying in to rescue them and save the day. But if you had to build an SEO agency from scratch today with scaling in mind from day one, what would you do? Just right off the bat, very first thing that Kieran Browning recommends.
All right, straight up. productized service, definitely 100,000 million%. What is a productized service that is easy to sell, that is easy to get good results for, that is easy to get someone who I can manage and delegate to it, is not requiring me to do all of it myself? Number one, offer. Number two, who is a desperately hungry target audience for this that I can dominate, right? And then sort of working out from there. And as we build out the package, processes from day one, right? You don't need to do that, but it does make things a lot easier. And then hiring out like the management staff first. But yeah, if you have a bespoke agency and we do kind of everything, we mix it up each time, that is an operations nightmare, just so you know.
That makes complete sense. So when you say that you would suggest that they take that target audience from day one, do you mean that they find like a particular niche or just kind of like a general area that they want to tackle?
I mean, whatever works. I would try and make it unbelievably specific. You would want to make it so specific, and you can scale to, 1 mil, 10 mil with like a very specific target audience. Either an industry or a psychographic or something like that, but so specific that if someone's in that target audience and they see your tagline or your copy or your whatever, they're like, oh, wow, like this is great. This is for me. Whether it's a very specific industry or it's a very specific demographic that is a bit broader or something like that, but somewhere where you can literally be the best in the world at doing, that you understand well, that are easy to deal with, that have money, that have a budget, that are hungry for this, that could afford to do it, like that just tick all of the boxes. And again, ChatGPT now is incredible at helping figure that out, right? You don't have to brainstorm this yourself. Be like, who would be the easiest to sell this to, have the most money, has the most need, views this as a necessity, not something to get around to doing next August, perhaps, maybe, will ask me very stupid questions, will demand 1,000 revisions, will expect me to answer at 12:01 a.m. within 4 seconds of them sending a WhatsApp message. Like, save yourself some hassle.
Right. We've all definitely been there and had that one client who was very difficult with that particular area. So I'm curious to know about your particular consultancy a little bit. What niches do you normally service? Do you have like a particular target audience, or is it just normally all over the map?
Well, it used to be just digital marketing agencies. And then every time I got a referral to someone who was not a digital marketing agency, even for an industry that I had nothing, like really very little understanding of.
Really? Like what?
It was strangely easy. Like a guy who was some sort of very specific consultant. I've had a client now for 2 years who does really, really specific, I don't want to say his name, but really, really specific consulting for like one of the biggest companies in the world.
Okay.
E-commerce, SaaS. Fortunately for me, operations is operations. Like there really isn't that much of a difference. Like what's the difference between a process, and a lot of the ways to improve a process are obvious after you write them. And we're starting from like, rather than starting from nothing to an ideals process, like what is it that you're actually currently doing? Let's get that documented. And then let's look for the 5 most common issues, and I didn't realize how easy that was to do that until I started working with a SaaS and talking to a senior developer, and I don't know how to code. And he was telling me the problem, and it was like, oh, well, what's the bottleneck here? And he said, well, the junior developer is supposed to reproduce a bug and then send it to me, and then I fix it, but they don't reproduce the bug. I don't know what this means, but I say, okay, how about you just don't if they don't reproduce the bug, send it back. Don't refuse to do anything unless you reproduce the bug. So he did that, fixed the whole thing. Huh. Like it's an amazing amount, like all of the industry knowledge that I have in digital marketing. And it just doesn't doesn't seem to matter that much. But my target audience now is generally more agencies and leaning more towards like 7 figures, because there's just so much that I can do there. I can help them with the leadership team, help them with SOPs. There's a lot more work there. And they probably have a bunch of other problems solved. Like I'm not going to help you with your finance problems. But if you've got that solved, you've got a CFO, all right, probably we can make the business take off like a rocket ship. We just fix the growth bottlenecks in the operations.
Gotcha. So it pretty much looks the same as far as operations goes, whether you're doing it for an agency or somewhere that's more in-house, regardless of how specific it is, right?
Yeah. I mean, if I don't have any industry knowledge, I can't give super specific solutions if you can't come up with a solution as well. But yeah, digital, agency based, all online, all remote, that sort of thing. About
Gotcha.
high 6 figures, low 7 figures.
It's good to know that no matter what niche or industry that our listeners are, they can definitely take a lot of great advice from what you've given us today. So I just wanted to thank you so much for taking the time to let me siphon this knowledge out of your brain. And to our listeners, thank you guys so much for listening. And I will catch you guys on the flip side. Thank you so much, Kieran.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you found value in this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you can stay up to date with the latest in SEO strategies. For more in-depth resources and premium link building services, visit us over at SirLinksalot.co. And if you're looking to connect with other SEO professionals, join the conversation in our Facebook group over at the SEO Roundtable. Thanks a lot.